Today I'll be making termos. So in English it's the lupini small beans. So they are dried, so you can get it from any Middle Eastern shop. So the way you do this, and the reason why we need to soak it, it gets rid of all the impurities, the things that are in beans that actually give you a sore stomach. So a lot of the Middle Eastern people soak their raw beans, so any kind of dried beans, and then, or any kind of grain. So they do that before they actually cook it off. So what I do is, so just using any container, these will they'll go 4 times in size. So I've just filled up a little level, so not even half a centimeter's worth. And I've taken out just some of the bad ones that have appeared. So then when they actually grow, so some of them may not expand, which is fine. You may have bad ones, but any of the bad ones that I see right now that I've thrown in, I'll always go in and remove it. So it's pretty much just a handful. And then what I do is I'll fill it up with water. I normally just put it in the container that I'm actually going to be putting it in later. I just fill it up. It doesn't matter how much water you put in, but I do fill it up a lot higher. It's swimming in the water, and I leave it overnight and before I start to cook it off on the stove. So it will take between about an hour and a half, 2 hours. It just depends on your stove, the quantity that you're using, but at the moment it's just a soaking overnight stage. So I've put it in now at 5 p.m. and we'll have a look tomorrow morning and see how much it's actually expanded before we start to cook it off. This is what you end up with overnight. So they've expanded a lot. So what I do is I just tip it into a pot. I add a tablespoon of salt just to help with the cooking process. It does take about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on your heat. So I normally put it on medium. I don't want it to burn on the bottom, but I do fill it up to the very top. It will drink a lot of water, and you will need to constantly check up on it and see if it needs a top up. So you'll just put it on the stove and continue on with just keep cooking it off. At the moment it's a very pale yellow. It will be a darker yellow when it's ready. So I'm just going to put it on medium heat and leave that on the stove for about an hour and a half. You can see it with the boiling process. There's all this gunk on the side, the black gunk. Normally if it doesn't evaporate, say it actually went up and I had to lower the stove a little bit, but normally that comes onto the top like a film and you just need to remove it. These are the impurities in the actual bean itself. So you need to just make sure, you can see there are some floating that haven't expanded on the top. Just keep cooking it off for another half an hour. So they've been an hour until it goes darker in color. So once you start to see just one of them pop open, it means it's ready to be turned off, and just put the lid on it and just leave it as is. You can see some of these have now opened up, which means it's now ready. You turn the stove off and put the lid on it and leave it overnight. The next day, just empty it, clean it, put clean water, and just put it straight into the fridge because it will be cooled down.